Hi everybody, something really quite different today. We are really going back in time now. So get in your TARDIS and have a quick look at this one. This was one that I was given as a child. I can't remember who gave it to me. It was such a long time ago. But I put it so it's an old box upstairs with lots of other smash ones. Never really thought much about it really, but I dug it out yesterday and thought, let's have a look at that one. It's ancient. What's its story? And I didn't think initially I'd have enough to even do a little video on it, but it actually turns out to be surprisingly really quite interesting. For this, origins of this date way back to 1938, believe it or not. Dinky was only a couple of years old by then. I think he started about 35, I think, Dinky properly. So this is one of the very first early Dinky models, but it isn't quite. In 1938, Dinky released a range of aircraft, and this was become this one you're looking at here was number 62M, the Airspeed Envoy, which was like a light transport aircraft manufactured in reasonable numbers. It was a small aircraft. It was bought for various different countries throughout the throughout the world, Australia and South America and so on. It didn't really survive very long after the war. So the RAF used a few out in India, and even the Luftwaffe captured a couple and used them for training purposes during the Second World War. But without going too much into the actual aircraft itself, because it's all out there on Wikipedia, the Airspeed Envoy. So this little aircraft here did appear in the 1939 Dinky catalogue, amongst lots of other aircraft. So it was manufactured in different colours. The first ones, of course, were silver. Well, not of course, but the first ones were mainly silver, but other colours apparently were available. Images are not easy to find, unfortunately. Now, Dinky, of course, during the outbreak of the Second World War, the Dinky ceased manufacturing. 1941 came along, and of course there were other priorities. They really couldn't afford people to make toy cars and aircraft or boats or whatever, and so production ceased. But instead, the Dinky factories shifted to war, war and produce. And then from sort of 1942 onwards, Hornby and Dinky and Meccano, or the interlinked companies, started manufacturing bits of Wellington bombers. Making bomb release mechanisms, hypodermic, die-cast parts, continuing their skill to make sort of hypodermic needles, screws and fuses for shells, and so on. And so production of toys completely ceased. 1945, May 1945, of course, the war ended in Europe. Dinky did get back to manufacturing toys, but what they did during the war, they mothballed all the old moulds and the castings, so they could carry on making them after the war. And this is what happened. So they dug out in late 1945, the old castings and started to reproduce them. And this was, of course, before they had time to manufacture new stuff that started to appear in 1946 to 1947, new aircraft and new vehicles. And the older ones were dusted off, and that's what we're looking at here. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, they were renamed as sort of generic aircraft type. So this was initially the Airspeed Envoy light aircraft. When it was reissued, which is what I'm looking at here, it was renamed the light aircraft. Now, if you look at this, you see, look, Dinky transports light aircraft, made in England by Meccano Limited. So what you're looking at here is a pre-war moulding that was then dug out after the war and remade or recast. This model lasted until 1948. So what you're looking at here is somewhere between 1945 and 1948. The British Civil Aircraft Mark registry there, GATMH, which I just looked up a few minutes ago, and unfortunately I can't seem to find it. I think it might be a sort of fictitious serial number, which is a bit of a shame. But even back then, you can see they were trying to do little features in a very, very basic, crude way. I say crude, it's not really fair. It's just how things were back then. It's not as if they were deliberately crude. But you've just got little propellers that turn like that. And you've even got some little undercarriage wheels. These are manufactured in a few different colours. There was blue, there was silver. Main ones are silver. Some red ones like this. And it's quite uncommon to find them these days. They're certainly isn't a common one you're going to come across. I mean, you could pick them up for, I don't know, 20, 30 quid. But this one, because you can see, because the wing's clipped, it's not really worth that. I doubt if I get a tenner for it, but I'm not interested in the money. It's just nice to have a little bit of history. So there we are. So this is, I'll see if I can find a picture of a box for you. It's cute, crude little boxes, but there we are. So this is one of the very first aircraft that Dinky ever made, way back just prior to the Second World War. So, right, I hope you liked that one. Bit different, wasn't it? Well, you know what I'm going to say? Yeah, go on then. Like and subscribe, please. Thank you very much. Bye.